What's up? Is Ed here from Geek? We've just been chit-chatting for the last 37 minutes and realized we haven't been recording. So we wanted to hop on real quick, another Google Ads Agency Roundtable, and today we want to talk about selling PPC. So Mark, Nick, Dustin, what's up, fellas? How you doing?
Good. Doing great.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk newer agencies, smaller agencies, someone getting into agency sales. What are like your top 2 or 3 things that they should know if they're going to be selling PPC to clients?
They got to know how to do PPC. That's the first thing, because a lot of people don't know what the heck they're selling. Setting the right expectations. So whether that's because you've been in a niche a while or because you just kind of have a good feel for things, like understanding how to let potential customers know what they're going to get. Like, okay, like how's this thing roll out? How long does it take? When do I start to see leads? Like really getting that first, let's say 30, 60 days mentally explained to somebody or verbally or visually, whatever you can do, helps with sales and churn. And also the last thing would be, I think, being proactive with, like, I guess after the sale, it's like, okay, they paid you, and like be proactive on communication and like how things are going, whether it's good or bad, because I think that's another area where like a lot of people, I've heard this number everywhere that like the average marketing agency has clients for 1.8 months. I mean, ours are like a lot longer than that. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that tells me you didn't set the right expectations, you didn't communicate well, or you just don't know what the heck you're doing. So I think it's probably the first 2 most of the time. And I think that's another way you can, you sell, but you always have to resell that person basically every month. And in the beginning, I feel like it's every week probably if things don't like start off strong, right? You just got to be ready. So that's my answer.
Got it. Okay. Setting expectations. I like that. We'll circle back to that one. Nick, how about you?
Well, like Dustin said, they got to know what the hell they're doing. A lot of people go and sell something they don't know what it is. So if you've got a good team or you've got somebody that's going to do that, whether it be white label or not, I'd have that conversation with the white label group. If you're using a white label group and you're selling PPC, have a conversation with them about what those expectations should be. Let them know what niche that is so they can give you some quick wins and say, okay, well, we can usually get this ramped up and get this here and here. When we're selling it, because we're PPC only, we're talking about the speed to lead. Like, it's quick. You're going to get leads possibly same day, but speed to lead means how quick are you following up with them? So it's a selling point, honestly, and say, hey, are you able to take on 3 calls? Are you able to do 3 calls a day or 3 leads a day? And they instantly perk up and be like, wait, you're going to get me 3 leads a day? Well, yeah, if your budget is this, there's potential for you to get 3 leads a day. Are you able to talk to them quickly? And then start talking to them about, well, I want to get the leads when you're in your seat ready to go. Depending on the traffic of that, what PPC you're running, there could be opportunities to get leads during the workday when that person's willing, able, and ready to make those phone calls to follow up. So those are good selling points that we use in having those questions like, are you sure you're able to handle this many leads? Are you sure you're going to be in the seat? And that gets them excited. Like, they don't have people calling in. The reason they're reaching out to you, or the reason you're having this exploratory call with them or sales call, is because they don't have an influx or an abundance of sales. They have a need, and you're filling that need. So qualify it with that, saying, hey, can you do this? Are you able to do that? If these deals don't come. So again, being in real estate, you're seeing a turn time of 6 to 18 months on a sale. So if you get a lead today, there's a good chance they're going to buy a house in the next 6 to 18 months. And even if you get a call today and they say, yeah, I want to go look at houses, it's 30 days before you, is the earliest 30 days. If it's a conventional, I'm getting a mortgage, I'm buying a house. So, setting that, knowing what the life cycle of those leads are in that industry and in that niche, but then working accordingly with that. If you have knowledge of their niche that you're talking to as well, that helps your sales call too. So selling PPC comes down to knowing who you're talking to, knowing how to ask them, put it on them. Are you able to follow up? And if they're not, do you have a concierge service that's going to follow up for them, right? Do you have a software that you're going to offer with them that's going to do those email campaigns and stuff? So making sure that they can handle it. Too often, I think PPC or anybody in marketing wants to sell this grandiose package, and you get everything lit up and going, and then 2 weeks later, person comes back and is like, we don't have any infrastructure to handle these leads. Well, that's dumb. Don't do that. So make sure that you're asking those questions. It's a good sales tactic too, to ask those questions to those people.
I like it. Mark, what about you?
Well, I agree with what you just said there, Nick. Most everything you just said. I think the important thing is knowing one of the questions that you have to ask is what they do post lead. Are they able to handle them? How do they follow up with them? Because that will, and I like to ask a lot of questions about how they're currently generating leads and what their cost per lead is. Not so much because I need to know that, because I want to know what they know. And I want to know if they can't tell me their cost per lead, their close rate, those sorts of things, then I immediately know that it's going to be harder for me because they're not going to be able to quantify the results that we send to them because they already don't know what the results are now. How are they going to get better when suddenly I send them leads? The other thing that we try to do, or that I try to do, and if you're working with a white label provider or you have your own team, try to sell more than just PPC. Try to sell the totality of what you're offering. So we're offering experience. We're offering, several layers of weekly optimization, and of course we have marketing terms, sales truths to describe all those things. And, we're offering the landing page, the conversion tracking. We're offering you the comfort of knowing that you have everything set up correctly. We're not just winging a smart campaign and throwing it out there. And so those are the things that we try to offer is the totality, sell the totality of what PPC is and what it is that you're delivering. The other thing that I try to use when you get pushback is I try to sell with fear, which is a subject we could talk about as well, because it's the old, people are asking, I kind of laugh it off when people say, well, why should I be on Google running ads? I'm like, well, that's cool. People are looking for what you do right now in your service area, but they're clicking on the other guy's ads. So if you don't want them, that's cool with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to hurt my business. So I think that's an approach. And having just in sales in general, especially with young, new agency owners, don't be desperate. You just can never come across as desperate. You just got to have confidence in what you're doing and be like, if it's not a good fit for you, that's great. And you have to be fully prepared. You won't know this at first, but you have to be fully prepared to walk away from people who will be a terrible fit for you.
100%. That plays into what we talked about last week about bad clients, bad fits, and how destructive they could be. So a couple things I took away there from Dustin was setting the expectations. Some clients are going to see, I see a dual sales path. People brand new to Google Ads, and the people that have run it before and have done a poor job and are looking for a different experience. If they've never run it before, sometimes you got to take them top level. What are Google Ads? Those little things you see when you Google something? Those are Google Ads. Those are what we build and manage. Certain, let's say a certain percentage of people that click search something are going to click on an ad. Certain percentage of people that click on the ad are actually going to become a lead. Not every click produces a lead, and kind of just go down the rabbit hole of explaining how this stuff works. If it's if they're running a campaign, being able to do a diagnostic, doing an audit would be super helpful. We used to do audits all the time as part of our two-step sales process. If you want, there's a video on two-step sales process on the channel that'll describe that. But once you've done it enough, you could literally just audit by asking them certain stats, and you'll know the answers ahead of time. And you can identify really quickly what the issues are. Nick brought up a really interesting point in the, can you even tell? Obviously, yes. Yeah. I was actually really surprised you didn't say the lead sucked.
That was the follow-up.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I think you brought in an interesting reframe that we actually use in direct mail. So if you've gotten our direct mail course, one of the questions we ask in the letter is, do you even have capacity to handle X number more leads per month or X number of deals per month? Because what type of psychopath is asking that question if they weren't able to actually deliver on that? Yeah. So you have to be the person that can deliver on that to have the balls to ask that question, but it is a reframe. Because someone goes, why would they ask me that if I couldn't deliver on it? Because it's a weird way to ask the question. And then Mark with selling with fear, I like that. And I like the idea of having, like, I mentioned this before in our roundtables, the 2 case studies, 2 lawyers in Texas, Austin and Houston, both got 90 leads. One got 18 clients, one got 1 client. One thought we walked on water, one thought we were horrendous. And that was my aha moment. Like, wow, not everyone can sell at the same rate. And to really, as all 3 of you said, kind of walk through what their sales process is like and understand how they intake leads. Can they sell? Is it documented? Do they have a back end CRM like Go High Level or whatever else it is? So yeah, I think those are all good things with regard to the sales process. I think I'm going to throw my own thing in there is that Google Ads isn't right for everybody. So understanding just because you see people doing Google Ads in a niche doesn't mean it's actually a good idea. You got to have a handle on their number, know that a certain number of clicks will produce a certain number of leads. And then they've got to have a handle on how many leads it takes them to get a sale and have a handle on what their gross profit is, not just revenue, but gross profit. Mm-hmm. And it's a rough idea of their net. So there's an idea of just pumping volume in there to keep things busy so that you can pay the bills and keep the lights on. But really, you got to be doing things based on gross profit and making money. So awesome. What else you got, Dustin?
I will say you mentioned people who don't do well with Google Ads. So there's one category that comes to mind is people that have something to sell that nobody's looking for. They're not searching. There's no search intent around it. Because a lot of times, and we've dealt with a lot of e-commerce clients before, which we're not really focusing in that area anymore. But one of the challenges we would get from a lot of like newer e-commerce stores or new products or whatever is like, you get this great thing that's probably like Uber was before people knew what Uber was, right? But nobody's looking for it. And so they don't understand there's like a totally different strategy. Now you have to get in front of like the same type of person that might want that doesn't know it. So it's more like display, or it's more like going after ancillary search terms or whatever. So I think in terms of selling it, understanding like if you're selling Google search, which is what a lot of we focus on the most, I think, on this call, go after something that has some search volume, and not just like the other side of that is like, okay, people are searching, but is there enough people searching? If you have like 10 people a month searching for this thing because want to target one zip code or whatever, well, be realistic about the expectations and about what you're going to be able to actually deliver. So I think there's some wisdom in that. And I also think in terms of sales and estimating and all that, the Google keyword tool is almost useless in my opinion, guys. I mean, maybe at a national level, it'll help you like get a feel for, okay, roofer near me has more traffic than like roofer city name, like relatively speaking, but you're never going to get that search volume, those numbers a lot of the time. Like, I don't know, you guys could tell me if you think I'm wrong, but the cost is always wrong. The volume is always wrong. The only thing I really see,
the population,
everything.
The county I grew up in, I know isn't 600,000 or 700,000 people. It's 300, but I think some of it that they factor in is people moving throughout the region at a given time,
or working there,
working
there, and then traveling into the outer areas. Yeah,
I think that's part of what it is. Mark and I were having this exact same conversation maybe 10 days ago, Mark, that Dustin was just saying about having to basically people create their own demand in a market. Like you got to go Facebook ads, YouTube ads at that point and do more discovery style. Because the reason Google ads work so well and the reason it is the greatest money-making machine of all time is because of intent. People are searching for something and all you're doing is slipping what it is, exactly what they're looking for right in front of their search. And that's it. And you get a direct response based off of that. And that's why it's the most beautiful, well-oiled machine of all time. But without that, you got to go over towards TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and run ads that way to kind of describe what your product is. So we were literally just having this conversation. And you bring up another good point about search volume. If you're really, really lights out at writing ad copy, you're going to get 20% click-through rates. That's super high. If you're above 3%, 5%, you're good. And that means that 90% are falling to the bottom line to organic. Maybe a couple other ads scoop up a couple percent, but organic is going to drop down to the majority of it. So you got to have a decent chunk of search volume in order for this thing to create some velocity. And if you're whale hunting and the job size you get is really large, it's 10, 20 grand, you could deal with small search volume. Like Nick's niche, real estate, you can do it because the clips are big. But if you're carpet cleaning and your job's $150, it ain't going to fly. So you just need volume.
Right.
Nick, what else you got besides the leads suck?
The leads don't suck. You suck.
Yeah.
You hear wanting.
Yep.
So honestly, something that we did wrong as a newer agency when we didn't realize we were a PPC agency to something we do now is, we would generate all this traffic and generate all these leads. We'd spend millions of dollars in Google ads and we'd be like, all right, well, we had 10% success rate on getting you a lead. So 1,000 clicks, 1,000 clicks, 1,000 people came in, we got 100 of them. We'd high five and say, that was great. And out of those 100, if you get 1 or 2 deals, the ROI in real estate is massive, right? We started getting more mature and saying, okay, wait, these people all raised their hand. 1,000 people raised their hand. What about omnipresence? So we talk a lot now about omnipresence. Like, not only are we going to dive into Google ads, but what are you doing to stay in front of them? What are you doing to make sure they see you everywhere? The cost to do display ads, the cost to do YouTube ads, Facebook ads, it really pennies on the dollar compared to what it is for the Google search. So we really we had that conversation up front too, is have you done anything anywhere else? We used to just sort of refer it out and then figured out that everybody didn't know what the hell they were doing. When we'd be like, okay, somebody's doing Facebook traffic for you, leads for you. They wouldn't even use audiences that we would be able to. I mean, we were handing them on a platter, an amazing audience of people with high intent that were hand raisers, as we call them. They would go out and just do cold traffic. So, and they would get, and it was a bait and switch ad they were doing. So we got into that side of things. We don't just do PPC, we do everything. But then selling, it's not even really selling, it's educating. So I think a good agency is going to educate their clients and their potential customers on, look for this, not that. If you're talking to somebody about a solution, make sure that they understand what your end goal is. We do a lot of, we don't do sales calls, we do exploratory calls. I haven't done a sales call in 15 years. That's the whole spiel. And there's truth to it, because I always tell everybody, if we're going to spend 30 minutes or an hour on a call, I want you to pull a couple of good things off of this that you can implement into your systems now. Whether you become a client of ours and whether we engage in business with each other, I want to make sure that you're educated on what's right and what's wrong, because there are a lot of really, really poor marketing firms out there in every niche, every facets of the world. There are people out there that are selling solutions that they don't know what they're doing. So we try to educate anybody that we talk to. We do 10 calls. We usually qualify 3 of them to be able to work with us. The other 7, we try to educate. Don't sign up for somebody that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. So we try to be a good steward of the community and give ourselves a better name, because there are some real horrible solutions out there that don't pay attention to anything. And the life cycle of a lead really does come into, are they on YouTube consuming information about how to buy a house and what to look for when buying a house? Or what's the market doing? Is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? We have our agents doing those videos, display ads, like the new age billboard. We can get display ads for 50 cents on 1,000 impressions. And all of a sudden you're a local hero or a local celebrity, where our agents are like, we got people coming up to me saying, I see you everywhere on the internet. Well, perceived value is A, you're rich, and B, that you're really good at what you do. And that's how you can afford that. And it's literally just a little bit of branding there.
I know Dustin's got to jump.
Hey, Dustin.
I agree with you, man. I loved every bit of that. And side note, we should probably make that into a video for you.
Right.
On your omni-channel approach or your 2-step process. Mm-hmm. Lead, 90% that don't become a lead, back end retargeted. I like that concept because that is super powerful, especially with a longer buying cycle like real estate is.
Yep.
Mark, anything else you want to add in there?
Yeah, I had a couple of things I want to throw in if you got time for me.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. A couple of things that
That's the eagle sucking. What's that?
Yeah.
The eagle suck? Is that what you said? Bad call. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talked about, Dustin talked about, was setting expectations with the clients. I like to ask the question early on what their expectations are, so that you know what to counter. Actually, I like to get on a call and not talk a lot to start, because people will tell you a lot of things. They're going to tell you, everyone has this, I've been burnt by a marketing agency before. And so you have to find ways to counter those types of things. Like, yeah, I've had bad dates before or whatever. It happens. There's bad plumbers, I guess, too. So you have to find a way to minimize those and overcome those objections, but also find out what their expectations are, because that tells you a lot about whether you want to work with them and how much you really need to set expectations with them. And then the other things, I see a lot of young salespeople make this mistake, is talk about the client's ideal client, which is good, that you do want to go after the ideal client, but you don't want to give people the impression that you can pull in a steady stream of ideal clients. You're going to get a lot of, you're going to get 9 horses and 1 unicorn, or maybe
roofing is an example of that, dude. It's like everyone wants replacement and installations.
Yeah.
Reality is 99% of the search volume in the market is repair, and people don't know what they don't know. No one goes to the doctor thinking they need a knee replacement. They think they need a cortisone shot or something else.
Exactly. I have that exact conversation with everyone. Like, we just want roof replacements and we want insurance approved. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't, A, that's not reality, and B, you'll have to sell. Because everyone thinks their roof just needs repaired. Even if they can see the sky, they think their roof needs repaired.
Just a little patch.
Just this one spot.
This one spot up here. Yeah, so those are the types of things that we, roofing is a perfect example of that. It's okay to pitch on, understand who their ideal client is. Don't focus on it, because that's not what you're going to get most of the time.
Yep.
Unless their ideal client is, someone walking, someone that they can, upsell or whatever else. And that usually means they have a pretty good sales process.
Yeah, I'm going to layer in one other example there, because it kind of ties into what Dustin said about search volume. So in the detailing space, the bread and butter is car detailing, auto detailing. What they all want is paint correction and ceramic coating. But the reality is there is
that's 3% of the search volume.
If that's even that. And I try to say, like, sure, we'll target those, but just keep in mind, you're going to probably get zeros and impressions each month in those, and we'll be at 100% impression share. So that, and I'm like, these are upsells you sell to existing customers. If we can get one, great. But the reality is that's an SEO play. That's a YouTube play for you. That's not a search play, because we need a volume of traffic in order for this thing to back out. So like, it ties into Dustin setting expectations and your ideal customer avatar, and speaking to most people don't search like that on Google and the volume that they want. But if they do, it's more of an SEO play than it is a Google Ads play. And that's the recommendation.
How many times have you talked to someone about chiropractic? They just like, I just want someone with lower back pain from an accident.
Yeah. Referred from a PI lawyer. Yes.
Yeah. And that's how people search. I have lower back pain. I was hit on I-81 at 90 miles behind, whatever. No,
we used to get tons of attorneys that would try to buy those leads for chiropractors and like push it in that way. And I'm like, there aren't that many people. How many car accidents are happening every day in your market?
Right.
And then how many of those? I'm like, oh man, I don't think there are 1,000 car accidents a day in the Raleigh market. I don't think.
All right, I got to jump, guys. Good seeing you though.
Okay.
All right.
Commercial fits right into that. I only want commercial roofing.
Yeah.
That's okay. And with commercial, like, we would do it, but we need to open up the radius, and you need to be able to travel for work. You need a 70 mile radius, because the reality is, if it's a commercial job, it's 50 to 500 grand, and you're going to travel for that job. So
yeah.
Well, the reality also is that you're going to miss 80% of the leads, because most of them are just typing roofing contractor near me.
Right.
And, you're going to get that 20%, but that's not on us. That's the reality. We try to explain those things. We try to be educational. Like Nick, we don't sell. We just share information.
Yep. That's the basis of our YouTube channel. It's educating the market. Nick, you nailed it earlier. Teach the market. I'm a huge proponent of Jay Abraham and the strategy of preeminence, and be your market's education leader. Teach the market what they need to know, not what they want to hear, and do everything you can to do right by them. And what we see is we turn away more leads than we take in, just because they're not good fits. They're niches that we can't help, or their budget's too small, or whatever it is. I think it was Dustin that said 1.8 months for the average
Good
retention for that is horrendous. My
God.
goodness.
That's hurtful.
That's
It's
bad.
not even retention. There's
No,
another word for that. That's not.
No, it's just a lump sale. What the hell is that about?
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is I have a really small budget, but once you get me results, I'm willing to spend anything.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to start out real low, but the sky's the limit. I'll take all the leads you can get me.
Sky
My
is the
budget's
limit.
going to be endless when we get to that.
Right.
Your fee can't go up, but my budget can go up tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
That's I'm gonna listen for that. The sky's the limit, and then I'm just gonna say, "Oh man, I got another call. I gotta go."
I don't think we've ever had a customer that's actually said that to us that has increased budget past that.
Never.
I don't think it's ever happened.
The other one we walk away from, and this is a hot tip for agencies starting out. Well, see what you can do for me. I'm very influential in my industry, and I can get you a ton of clients. Run from that person.
Yes,
There's that person.
100%.
I'm gonna add in a third one. The guy that's been self-managing for a long time.
God, knows more than you.
Knows more
Yeah.
than me. Yeah,
Just
and
busy.
doing really, really good.
yeah, and has talked to Google reps a lot, and those
Yeah.
are the ones that you got to be careful of because they'll nitpick every decision you make, and then you've got to defend a position when they don't necessarily know what they're talking about, but knowing that a broken clock is right twice a day, and they have had some leads generated, you got to be careful with those folks because they'll be in your ass looking for you.
I go really strong on those guys. Like you're not a good client for us.
Yeah.
You're actually one of our worst. You're a bad fit because you think you know what you're doing. You
Mhm.
may know what you're doing, but my guess is you probably don't.
Yeah.
And you're going to wonder why we don't have 100% optimization score at all times.
Yeah.
On our Google.
I was just talking to a client. What day is today? Today's Thursday. I was talking to him Tuesday. He was actually one of the guys I was talking about earlier. And I was just saying that I think one of the most beautiful pieces of internal marketing I've ever seen, and we've talked about this before, is the Google optimization score. It's fucking incredible. Sorry, pardon my French, but it's so good. It's so good. It's such a revenue driver. I would love to know who created that and then how much revenue they can attribute to that button. Because it's like increase
Going from exacts to broads.
and
with
throw
one
on
click of
button.
a button.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Look at all the traffic I'm getting.
It's incredible, and it really is such a beautiful piece.
That's our new marketing thing, right? We will get you 100% optimization.
Yeah, well,
Oh, yeah.
100% optimization score, and Nick knows if you're after impressions, we can get impressions.
Yes,
We'll get you in front of a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah. Not the ones you want.
No, exactly. All right. Anybody else got anything else?
No, I'm done with sales advice for the day.
Yeah, that's all I got. It's just a short one today. I'm going to turn off the recording and stop.